Hello guys, Shadow Sabbath here. Today I'm doing another episode of my Amphibia episode review. Today we're going to be talking about fixing Frobo and Anne-sterminator, guys. Another two really good episodes out of the series that I think really helped because season 3 turned out to be probably my favorite of all the seasons. I think fixing Frobo, there isn't really much to talk about, while Anne-sterminator, there's a good amount to talk about. And guys, let's begin. We start off with fixing Frobo. The great part about this episode of what happens in it, and we get introduced to two new characters. You probably know them from the intro. It starts off with Hot Popsburg and Anne all watching cute cat videos. While Polly apparently spent her time building this Frobo replacement. I mean, you can obviously see where parts of it don't look great, but you can tell she tried. But even when advised not to, when Polly turns on this Frobo, instead of moving anything, it just automatically shoots a laser beam, which destroys the limited controller of Anne's dad, it's really sad. If something bad happens to him twice in this episode, I find that hilarious. So Polly basically feels like, okay, I'll just try this again. While everyone else says no based on what happened originally, Hot Pot forbids Polly from working on Frobo. And as Polly searches the internet, I just have to mention, you guys really need to watch this scene. It's just so many references and it's so hilarious. You can probably already see two now, but I just find it hilarious. And we're introduced to these two. So they work on robots on YouTube and have a whole YouTube series on it. And this causes Polly to decide to watch all the episodes to help build her Frobo. So after Polly contacts them, she basically talks to them and confirms and asks why her Frobo still isn't turning on after all the stuff she did. That's because she just took batteries out of the remote when she really should be using like an animatronic charger. The thing is, they both warn Polly, do not turn on the garage. We can help you rent out of space in a few weeks, just don't use it in the garage, and Polly does not listen. So, when she tries to tell her family and they still say wait until Amphibia, she takes it as they don't want to see Frobo again, and she decides to close the door on them and just turn it on anyways. The thing is, Frobo does turn on, but right now, it's like when you reboot a computer. He's just standard. He doesn't have any memories. He's just trying to contact his home world. He flies up into the air because of how it's kind of poorly built. He stops flying and they start falling to the ground. The IT girls finally catch up to them and are looking around the neighborhood for Polly when, of course, they find the household with Polly there. And one of Polly's tears fall into Frobo's head. It's weird, but still, it causes Frobo to remember everything that they've done, and he comes back. Just enough time to put Polly inside of him to protect her. They crash and Polly's alright, but it looks like Polly killed Frobo yet again. Until Frobo turns on, and according to the IT girls, apparently his hard drive still works, which is good, and you can kind of tell now where he gets his small robotic car, whatever you want to call it, for him, because now he's just ahead. Now it's time for Anne-sterminator, and since I forgot to mention it, the second time, Anne's father, something goes wrong for when Polly turns on the rope the second time. She destroys all the electricity, and he was working on a 10-hour boss fight with his friends, and it goes away. Unfairness. So next is Anne-sterminator. So we see the robot now talking to Andreas, and I think the scene really showed you how much Andreas has changed. He's a lot more malicious. I mean, the robot talks to him, and he's like, do you have the book? And yes, he has a Cynthia Coven book, but it's not book 2 because they're out of stock. So he's already angry. And then when he says, I bet next you're going to tell me Anne isn't dead. And I think we can all tell Anne isn't dead. So he's annoyed, and he puts a 1-hour timer on this robot and tells him to go find Anne and kill her in an hour, or else he dies. That gives this robot the motivation it needs to seek out them. And like I said, great episodes. So the first thing they do is, because Frobo's now active, he senses a Frobo that's not where it's supposed to be, on Earth. So he then goes after it. And starts off being super helpful and all, and the parents thank her for being so upfront and honest, which of course we know is not true. She's hiding a bunch of stuff. So she's about to tell everyone about everything on Amphibia she hasn't said yet. The Frobo, the one that's been chasing them, bursts through their house and comes after them. We find what happens with the room, a room upstairs that Anne's mom took over and made it into her own little shrine of Anne until she came home. We apparently know now that she wants Anne to be a doctor. And I mean nothing bad when I say this, but there isn't really much to talk about here because a lot of the scenes are just the robot chasing them, which I think is great. It's only that reviewing it, I'm not going to say he chased them through the streets, and then they turned, and then they chased it. No, so mostly just chased them. The only thing interesting, again, that happened worth talking about is the robot and Anne have a tennis match. You know, like a tennis racket, it had to come at some point. It was just so enjoyable to see. After a lot of driving, they end up in a junkyard, and all of them talk. And basically talks to her mom. Her mom's annoyed because she's still not trustworthy, and it seems like she hasn't changed. And Anne really wants to change, but she just can't because of all the stuff. But I think from the setting, you guys can already tell if you watch the trailer where this is going. So using Anne's mom's skill of making fake people, like she did a fake ants in her Anne shrine. That's just what I'm going to call it, guys. They use it to confuse the robot. And then everyone starts beating on the robot until it goes Beyblade. And after Anne and Anne's mom beat up the robot, it looks like all is well. The robot, being a jerk, just speeds up its self-destruct timer to 10 seconds. So it'll explode them all, and they have no chance of getting out. And then goes blue power and kicks that robot out of the atmosphere and goes into space where it explodes. Seriously, the amount of force she must have used in that kick is ridiculous. Anne, of course, tired, lies down with her mom and the cards all go back, and the mom really just accepts Anne and her goals now. But I think you guys all know Amphibia, they don't just end off without a cliffhanger. Since that first villain is gone, we need another villain in Amphibia, right? Right? So, Anne driving through the streets, I think we all know where this is going. They catch a picture of Anne, the robot, the planters, and even Anne's parents, and they decide to call in Mr. X. I'm not surprised that this happened, guys. I mean, they were just driving through the street. Even one person remarked that they must be filming a movie early, so obviously a lot of people saw them. Well, that was the 2 episodes, guys. Anne-sterminator and Fixing Frobo. I hope you guys enjoyed and have a nice day.